June was a fantastic month in the global climate change and ocean discourse. June saw two very important conferences. The 11th Our Ocean Conference, which happened in Mombasa, Kenya, where more than 5,000 delegates across the world, across all the institutions and agencies, came to Mombasa, Kenya for our 11th Ocean Conference, which was fantastic and very well organized, and so many commitments registered. But today's brief, the Africa at Sea brief series, we're going to concentrate on the Bonn Climate Change Conference. This is a unique one, and it was held in Bonn, Germany, which also ended on 18th June 2026. The Bonn Climate Change Conference message was so straightforward. The world is asking for faster climate action. But it has not yet settled how developing countries will finance that action. Bonn covered the issues that matter most to Africa: adaptation, mitigation, just transition, food security, technology access and transfer, climate finance, and emissions from international shipping and aviation. But the meeting did not produce a breakthrough on the biggest implementation question, and that is, who will pay for the transition? For Africa, that is the difference between ambition on paper and action on the ground. Bonn showed some political movement, however. For example, electrification moved closer to the center of the global climate conversation, which was a plus. There was also constructive engagement on the just transition. For example, how workers, communities, developing economies can be protected as the world shifts away from fossil fuels. And the ocean and climate dialogue reinforced the importance of coastal resilience, marine renewable energy, sustainable fisheries, zero carbon shipping, and stronger ocean observation. But none of this becomes real without financing, without technology, and without capacity. And that is where the gap remains, especially for Africa and developing countries. The adaptation agenda did not provide the clarity or confidence many developing countries traveled to Bonn seeking. The review of the adaptation committee was also deferred to the next session, and the wider finance debate remained unresolved. This means that countries must continue to push for climate finance that is predictable, concessional, and easier to access. Not finance that arrives too slowly, not finance that deepens debt, and not finance that excludes the countries and communities most at risk from climate change. The ocean discussion in Bonn made this even clearer. Out of 119 countries that had submitted updated national climate plans, 91 of them included at least one ocean-based priority. 86% included ocean-based adaptation priorities, and 55% included ocean-based mitigation priorities. But 59% also reported finance-related needs, and nearly half made commitments that depend on international support. That is the Africa's reality. We have coastal resilience plans, we have mangrove restoration opportunities, we have sustainable fisheries, we have marine renewable energy potential, we have green ports, we have cleaner shipping and blue economy ambitions, but projects do not move because ambition is written into a document. Projects move because they are prepared, financed, and implemented. Bonn therefore gives Africa a very practical task before COP31. First, turn climate priorities into bankable project pipelines, not broad statements. Second, Africa must insist that just transition means industrial opportunity. The transition can not only mean replacing fossil fuels, it must mean new jobs, new skills, stronger grids, local manufacturing, better transport systems, and most important, value chains that remain in Africa. Third, Africa must connect climate diplomacy with maritime diplomacy. The SBSTA agenda included emissions from international maritime shipping. That is very, very important. Shipping rules are changing through the IMO, but also climate policy is changing through the UNFCCC. Africa must ensure that these two tracks, the IMO and the UNFCCC, support Africa trade, African ports, African fuels, African skills, and Africa development. Bonn did not answer every question, but it made the next challenge impossible to ignore. Africa cannot wait for finance architecture to become perfect before preparing projects. And Africa cannot accept climate ambition without the means to implement it. The task now is to enter COP31 with a clear African proposition. Finance adaptation, build resilient infrastructure, support clean industrialization, enable green ports and shipping, enable technology access, strengthen skills, and ensure that the climate transition creates value in Africa, not only obligations for Africa. Because the future will not be shaped by the countries that make the loudest commitments. It will be shaped by the countries that are ready to turn ambition into delivery. And Africa must be ready. Thank you.